Hi everybody, if you can just give me confirmation that you can hear me, I would appreciate that. Okay, so I have confirmation that you can hear me. I just want to silence this quickly. So tonight we are doing a complete beginners class, which I'm very excited about. So I'm going to be teaching you the basics of cardstock, what to look out for. Not every cardstock is made the same, just like not every vinyl is made the same. So I'm going to be teaching you the basics of cardstock. We're also going to look at applying vinyl to cardstock, and we will obviously make a cute little box. So I absolutely love these boxes. I have two here. Let's see if you can see that. There we are. So I have two that I have already made for Easter. I've also made a Valentine's one and I've made a Christmas one. So these boxes are super versatile and they're really nice for keeping little sweets in, or if you have a little gift that you want to put into it, that's also a really good idea, and you can personalize it however you want. So I hope that this class is going to give you the foundation to create a lot of beautiful little boxes. As I say, I absolutely love them. So as always, this class is proudly sponsored by Cricut and Logitech. And if you are not following the official Cricut pages, then give them a follow, because all of these are streamed obviously directly to those pages, as well as official announcements. Okay, let's jump into it. So we're going to start on Design Space. Okay, so we are going to be using an existing box design. This is not my own box design. Hi everybody that's just joining. Okay, so we're going to be using an existing design, and if you've watched any of my classes, I love doing this. I love taking a design and then making it my own. And this one is absolutely perfect for beginners because it is so easy to make. Okay, so what we're going to be looking for is a Galentine's box. Let's look for Valentine's treat box. I think that's what I looked for. Valentine's treat box. I have probably bookmarked this, but I have also bookmarked a whole lot of projects. So it's probably lost in there. So if you don't know what bookmarking is, if you click on this little tab here, that will bookmark it for you. So that is a very high bar. So Frances said she can't wait for our minds to be blown tonight. So it's a very high bar. Remember, this is a beginner's class, so I think I am going to be pretty basic with it, but I hope it's going to give you the foundation to do a lot of different cardstock projects. Okay, so to bookmark things, you just click on the little bookmark, and then that will actually save it under your bookmark project. So you'll find that under My Stuff and then under Bookmarks. You can do that with images, you can do that with fonts, you can do that with pretty much anything. So just something that I personally like to do, if I bookmark something, I do like to just give it a little heart so that they know that I appreciate their design. So you don't have to do that. That's just something that I like to do, because obviously everybody that shares their designs onto Design Space, they help all of us. So okay, so I've changed it to Cricut only. Of course now I wouldn't be able to find the box, so there it is. Okay, so there's another little tip. If you are a beginner, and this is something that I recommend to all of the beginners that I've ever taught in our beginner classes, I always recommend that they start on Cricut only projects. And the reason I recommend that is not because I don't think, you know, the community projects are great, because they are really great. It's just the Cricut projects, if you click on it, it actually tells you what you need to make the project. So here it has all of the materials that you need, and then under everything else it has stuff like your cutting mat that you will need. This one obviously needed a heat press. I'm not sure why. And then it also gives you step-by-steps on how to do it. So as a beginner, if you have all of this information, it's going to make your journey a lot easier. Sometimes we tend to forget that there's people that are just starting out, and you know, for me, for instance, assembling a box would be easy, so I wouldn't put a step-by-step on how to do it. But for somebody who's never ever done it before, it's not an easy thing, and they will need a step-by-step. So I always suggest work under Cricut only until you are a little bit more comfortable with it, and that's going to give you that little bit of confidence you need to carry on your journey. Okay, so we're going to say customize, and we're going to replace. So you can see I have one on my screen, and that's the one that I showed you. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, if you want to keep your name tag, you can keep it. That's completely up to you. I'm going to get rid of it. So you can see I dragged it so that it selected all of the things, and I'm going to delete it. And I'm also going to do the same for this front section, and the reason is I'm not going to use it. So I want my box to be as big as possible. So if I look under my sizing, I can already see it's 29.21, and that is the maximum size for a 30 by 30 mat. And obviously I have a 30 by 30 piece of cardstock. So I didn't tell you what you're going to need for tonight's class, but it's literally one 30 by 30 piece of cardstock, and then I will show you in a bit. I have a whole bunch of offcuts of vinyl and cardstock here, so we can sort of pick and choose what we want to do. So when I started this class, I was going to do the Easter eggs again with you because we've already done them. But then I saw a little Easter bunny bum, and I was like, that's super cute, so maybe we'll do that. So you can obviously just give me some feedback if you want to see the Easter eggs or the little Easter bunny bum. I think it's super cute. So that is going to be my choice. Okay, so now we're going to insert our images. So if you have a look at the boxes that I did already, that I showed you in the beginning, you will see that one of them had a square background and one of them had a circle background. So if we put our shapes in, I'll do both of them for you. So wherever possible, I like to try and keep rounded corners, and the reason for that is I don't want the cardstock to sort of nick. And also, if it's something that you're going to handle a lot, if it's got those very sharp edges, there's a higher chance that you're going to catch them and bend them. So again, just a personal preference. And then I just go by eye, so I know that this is the front of my box. But if I had to work on any of these, it would pretty much be the same size. So I've just picked a block, and I'm going to size it. Okay, so I would be happy with that size for the outer square. So for the inner square, what I would do is I would put an offset, but instead of having it on the outside of it, I would say minus 0.2, and that's going to give me what we call a negative offset. Okay, so let's go maybe like 4. I think that's good. Yes, because we want it to be quite dramatic. So for the inside, I went with blue, and for the outside, I went with white. You can obviously go with any colors you want, and this is just going to give us sort of a background so that our design pops on the box. If you don't want to do this, you obviously don't have to. So the same thing with the circle. We're just going to sort of measure it, and then we would add our negative offset. So for this one, I'd probably go like -3. Hi everybody that's just joining. We've just started luckily, so you haven't missed much. So I'll leave both of these on the screen so we can decide what we're going to go with. Okay, so then we're going to go to images, and we're going to look at our bookmarked images. Okay, so there is our Easter eggs, and that's one I've already done, obviously. And then if we're going to search Easter eggs under all. Okay, so I did see the bunny bums somewhere here. I was here. There it is there. So I thought that was super cute. I love that. Very, very cute. Okay, so let's make this a little bit smaller so that we can see what we're working with. So we could have something like that, or we could have them in the circle even. That is so cute. Oh my goodness. I love that. Okay. So we could do something like that, or we could go with our original, which was our Easter eggs. So as you can see, if you look at the Easter eggs, let's zoom into it so that you can see it. So if you have a look at it, you can see that the layers aren't connected. So if we cut this, it's going to be a whole bunch of pieces. So what we would need to do is we would need to actually add an offset to this so that we would have something to apply it to. So when I'm doing something like this with cardstock, I always think about when I'm choosing whether I'm going to use cardstock or vinyl, I always think about which is going to be the easiest application for me. So something like this, which has multiple different pieces, for me it would be easier to apply it with vinyl than it would cardstock. It's not impossible to do, but it would just be a whole lot harder. Another thing I look at is the size of the circles. So any sort of cuts that are going to be made, how big are they, how small are they? With these circles, there's a very high chance that it could not cut correctly. The little pieces could get stuck to the blade and then mess up your next cut. So these are all the things that I take into account when I'm deciding whether I'm going to be using a cardstock or a vinyl to do my design. So with something this small, for me it made more sense to do vinyl. Okay, so what we would do is we would add an offset. So this, we're going to add a positive offset. So we're just going to say 0.2. We could probably even go down to 0.1. No, let's do 2. Let's do 1.5. Yes, that works. Okay, so you obviously could have it black or you could have it white. I chose to have it white. And then what you want to do is you just want to obviously size that. So you want to make sure that you have your Easter eggs, and then you hold shift down and you select your offset, and then you can just size it how you want to. Okay, so with something like the bunny, I'm going to duplicate it. Okay, so this is so that I can see what the layers look like, so that I know what I'm working with. So then I'm going to ungroup it, and I do this for a lot of things. If I want to see what the layers look like, but I don't necessarily want to mess up my design, then I just duplicate it. So I can see that that's one piece, and that is one piece, and then we have the black at the back. So this will work perfectly if I want to do a mixture of cardstock and vinyl. I could do the brown in cardstock, obviously all the backing in cardstock, and then I could do that in a nice little glitter pink vinyl. Okay, so I can get rid of that because I've dissected him now. Okay, so those are 2 designs that we have so far. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert text like I did for the original design. I see some people have lost us. I hope that it is not too difficult to follow along, or that there's too many internet issues. It's pretty clear on our side. Okay, so I've got my text and I'm now going to change that. So again, I have a lot of bookmarked fonts. And the one that I used for the original box was BFC Skylight. And I love this font. It is so pretty. Okay, so we're going to fit it in there. And what I like to do for very thin fonts is just add a little offset. And this is a great tip for anything that you're working on. It doesn't have to be cardstock. It doesn't have to be vinyl. Anything you're working on, add that little offset. It will help it. Okay, so we're going to add a very small offset of 0.018. We can probably go a little bit bigger. So you can see what I'm doing is I have a base that I work with, which is the size 0.018. and then I look at my design next to the window and I see if my offset is changing my wording too much. If it is, then I go down. If it isn't, then I go up. Okay, let's say apply. And there you can see it's still the same word, it still looks good, but it is a little bit thicker. It's going to be a little bit easier for it to cut. Okay, now I'm going to add my outer offset, and that is going to be the background that I apply the vinyl to. So for this one, I'm going to go 0.1, and we're going to say apply. And then I just go to contour, and that's going to help me see where there's holes. So something like this little hole right in the middle, I don't want that there, so I just click on it, it disappears. Okay, let's make Bunny a little bit smaller so we can see if we can get the words in here. Okay, so we just duplicate that, make it a bit smaller, and we have it like that. Okay, so my vote goes with the bunny. I'm not sure what everybody else votes, but I really like the bunny, and I haven't made it yet, so I would really like to make the bunny. Okay, just okay, so let's go to desk view so I can show you what we're working with, and that'll give everybody some time to let me know if you want to do the bunny bum or if we're going to do the Easter egg again. Either way, it's fine. So I'm using a whole bunch of offcuts. As you can see, this is Cricut foil adhesive vinyl. This is Cricut shimmer vinyl in champagne. This is Cricut shimmer vinyl in blue, pink, and then we have our cardstock. So I don't ever throw away my cardstock. Okay, obviously I do throw it away, but if there's like a piece that I can use, I don't throw it away. So what I do is I actually keep it in a big packet, sort of, and then every time I need cardstock, I just go in there and I look. So there's loads of things that you can do with your offcuts. It's just about storing them correctly, I guess. So I'm going to be using a bunch of offcuts. I have everything that I need here. Something I also did just want to show you, that if you didn't know, if you're new to the Cricut family, when you buy the shimmer vinyl and your textured metallics, a lot of the time there is actually transfer tape, so a strong grip transfer tape in the packaging. So I've actually cut my vinyl and you can see my strong grip sticking out there. So today we're going to be using normal grip transfer tape, and the reason for that is we want to obviously apply it to cardstock, so we don't want to use a strong grip. Okay, we've got our one piece of cardstock, 30 by 30, and that's going to be for our base, our base of our box. And then I'm going to be using a Jewel Bond glue that I have transferred into my little bottle, but there are tons of glues you can use. So let's talk a little bit about cardstock. So there's certain cardstocks that are not good for cutting, and if you cut with them, you are probably going to battle a lot more. So I'm not saying that it's impossible to use these cardstocks, because I have successfully used a lot of them, but they will make it a little bit more difficult for you. So I think it's important to know what materials you're working with and what sort of results they're going to give you. So the number one thing that I can suggest that you look for is a textured cardstock. So for me, that is the easiest way to tell whether or not it's sort of the cardstock I'm looking for. Again, not to say that every textured cardstock is going to cut correctly, but there are, so you can walk into a craft store, wherever it is, and there are, or a stationery store, and there are cardboards on the shelf which are very smooth. I don't want to mention brand names, but I think most people will pick up on what I'm saying. So those are not good for intricate cuts, and the reason for that is that they have fibers running through them, and those fibers can actually get caught on the blade, and that's going to cause your cardstock to tear instead of cutting smoothly. So some of the brands that I've worked with that I find cut beautifully is AC Cardstock, Couture Creations, Fabiano. Those cut very nicely. So when you're working with vinyl and transfer tape, you want to have something that is textured, and that's just going to make sure that your cardstock doesn't tear. So that's just something that I found. Okay, let's get to making it. So this is all the same cardstock, so that's all the same brand. So I'm going to cut all of these on cardstock for intricate cut. So if you have a different machine, this is something I tell everyone all the time. If you have a different machine, you're probably going to have to use different cut settings. So let's say, for instance, you have the Explore machine, then I would suggest using something maybe like the medium cardstock setting. If you have a Maker, then of course I would suggest trying with the cardstock for intricate cut. If it doesn't work, then go up to something like your medium cardstock. For our vinyls, I'm going to be using the setting that is on Design Space, so shimmer vinyl setting, and for the foil vinyl, which is a very, very strong vinyl, I'm going to be using the textured metallic setting. Okay, so let's get to making it. I didn't see what the vote was on the design, so I'm going to make the executive decision, and I'm going to do the bunny bum. Okay. Okay, so I'm just getting rid of the design I don't want. We're going to say make it. Okay, I see that everyone voted bunny, so I'm going to save this project. It makes me excited when we get to do new projects instead of redoing one. Okay, so I will obviously share this design once the class is over, if you'd like to make it. So I'm just going to jump back to Design Space just so you can see what we're doing. So I'm just saving this. Oh, I'm so sorry. So Soraya says that I missed the O-R-A-Y-A in her name. That was my bad. I will rectify that. Okay, so we're going to save this as Easter treat box. Oopsie. What did we do? Okay, let's try again. Okay. This is one of the things I love about Design Space. Whenever you go to make something, it gives you the option to save, and I highly suggest you do save, because very often, as you saw me just do, we have user errors where we jump screens, etc. So best to always save. Okay, so we're going to be doing this on matte. And as always, so I shared this tip, I think it was last week, and I share it in any class that involves cardstock. Always mirror. So these are just cutting, so I'm going to mirror them. This is cutting, so you can see I've made a mistake here, and I have left the name in black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say move object, and I'm going to put a new matte, and I'm going to choose a color that's pretty similar to our foil vinyl. Okay, so for this one, we're going to mirror it. Okay, for our box, we're not going to mirror it, and the reason for that is that we have another function. So we have score with it, so we're not going to mirror it. Okay, this is cardstock, so we're going to mirror it. Cardstock, mirror, and that's going to be vinyl, and that's going to be vinyl, so we're good to go. So we're going to start with the box. I love these boxes. So Soraya says she's been dreaming about this box since she picked it. I absolutely love these boxes, and you can obviously choose any color scheme that you want. I think I've just got a thing for little pink boxes, so mine always land up being pink, but you can obviously choose whatever color scheme you want. I think these would look really nice, you know, in black with some gold accents for something like a wedding. Very, very versatile. So I'm going to be using cardstock for intricate cuts, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say remember material settings. Okay, so I have a Maker 3. So the automatic tool selection is the scoring wheel, so it's telling me that I need to put my scoring wheel in clamp B, and then I need to press go. Then obviously it's going to go, and then it's going to tell me that it wants my fine point blade, and I'm going to change that. If you don't have the scoring wheel, what you would do is you would say edit tools, and then you would be able to change it. So the reason I mirror the cardstock, and this is especially helpful for either intricate designs or with thicker cardstocks, is that very often, so you'll see it with thick cardstocks, very often what will happen is the corners sort of lift up, they sort of get nicked. That's the best way I can describe it. And especially with intricate cuts, so on thinner cardstock with intricate cuts, you can get those edges where it kind of looks like it's pulled, if that makes sense. So I'll see if I can show you on any of the cuts that we do. So the reason I mirror it is once my cut is done, I'm going to flip my cardstock. So any discrepancies or sort of parts that aren't perfect will be on the back. So people are not going to see that. So that's the reason I do that. And I found it very helpful for the quality of my work. Okay. So another important aspect that we need to take into account is the mat that we use. So your light grip mat is obviously for cardstocks, papers, all of your thinner materials. When it's new, you can also use it with your vinyls. But your green mat is actually for your vinyls. So this is your light grip mat. Your green mat is your standard grip. Your purple mat is your strong grip mat. So the only time you're going to be using your purple one is when you're working with stuff like faux leathers, genuine leathers, your basswood, your heavy chipboard, stuff like that. And then you also get the pink mat, which is your fabric mat. So for today, we're going to be using our blue mat for everything. Okay, so I want the outside of my box to have the texture, so I'm going to put a texture side down, and that's just a personal preference. You don't have to do that. Okay, I'm going to change my blade. So I've got my scoring wheel in, it's got an 01 on the side. Okay, when it starts flashing, then it is ready to go. It's very distracting here. Okay, so we are going to be using that one. We're going to be using that one, and those. We won't be using our silver, gold. Okay, and then it's just going to score for us. So if you were using a scoring stylus, that would go into clamp A, not into clamp B. and then it would score and cut all at once. So why do I prefer to use my scoring wheel over my stylus? So obviously a stylus drags. So I mean, you can test that with your finger. If you roll something over cardstock and you drag your nail against it, there's a higher chance of it tearing if there's dragging. So that's not to say that it doesn't work. It does work. It's just something I've personally noticed, and that is why if you have a Maker or a Maker 3, or if you're lucky enough to be getting a Maker 4, then I would really suggest investing in the scoring wheels. Okay, so there I've changed it. You could see it stopped and the machine was flashing for me to change it, so I've done that, and I'm going to say go again. So let's talk a little bit about the Maker 4, which I'm so excited about. If this machine is this fast, I can only imagine how fast the Maker 4 is, and that color is absolutely to die for. I'm so excited. So I don't know if you saw on the Facebook group, there were a lot of posts from ambassadors saying that they will be in store this weekend. So if you have the weekend free, I think it's Friday and Saturday, you definitely have to go out and see them. I think this is going to be super exciting. Okay, so there's our box cut. Okay, so you can see I'm removing my mat from my cardstock and not my cardstock from my mat. And the reason for that is that I don't want to curl my cardstock, which is what will happen. Okay, let me see if I can show you with this piece. So if you pull it, you can see how you're curling it, and that's going to land up ruining your design. Okay, so next we have our brown. Okay, and remember you want to put the side that you want facing upwards down because we've mirrored it. So what does it mean when you mirror it? Obviously it is flipped around. So I want the textured side on the outside. Okay, and you can see I'm using my hand to roll these down, and the reason for that is that my mat is still very new and I don't want to brayer it down and get it too stuck onto my mat. So what I would suggest is if your mat is a little bit older, then definitely brayer it down. Okay, while that's cutting, we're just going to, can everyone see? Just want to make sure you can see you can. Okay, so I'm just going to be folding these flaps down and doing the thing while that's cutting. Okay, so one of the things that I do with cardstock is I sort of hold it down and then I go as close to the fold as possible. So I slide my hand behind it and I go as close to the fold as possible and then I fold. The reason for that is, again, I don't want to bend my cardstock. So that's literally just it. I don't want to bend the top pieces and I don't want to bend the piece that it's connecting to. Very, very simple. I think this is probably the easiest box I've ever made. So simple. Okay. Okay. So this one cut really nicely. I'm not going to be able to show you on this one why I do it mirrored. I mean, I guess I could. I'm not sure if you're going to see that, but I can see. So let me see if I can show you. So I can see on the very tips, it's sort of frayed. I think that's the best way to say it. So that is now going to be the back of my cardstock, and that's going to be the front, and the front is absolutely perfect. So that is the main reason that I cut it on mirror, and it's something that has given me a lot of beautiful cardstock projects. Okay, we can get rid of those guys, sorry. And you can use your scraper for this. If you have a lot of little pieces, then what I do is I just take my scraper and I just take them off. That actually is very helpful. So what I've found is when I was using the scoring stylus, so Cindy said she likes to use her ruler to help her with the scoring. So what I found when I was using the scoring stylus is that very often the lines would not be very deep. So something like that with a ruler would be really, really helpful. But you'll see when I'm working with things that are a little bit more intricate, so this is quite basic. I mean, it's quite a big flap for me to fold. When it's something that's a lot more intricate, you'll see I sort of tease from one end and I tease it across so that I'm not raking my cardstock. Okay, so next we're doing our blue one. And if you remember correctly, I clicked on remember material settings. So that's why I'm not having to select material settings every time. It remembers that I'm using cardstock for intricate cuts, and it makes my life a lot easier. Okay, I've got my glue. And we're going to glue the box. So I always just sort of put it together with my hands without glue, just so I can sort of see what it looks like. And that is what we are going to be going for. Okay, so we're just going to apply glue to the side flap. Just like that, done, super easy. Okay, next we have the vinyl. So instead of doing that, I'm going to jump onto our white pieces, which is also cardstock, because once I go to another material, I'm going to have to change my cut setting. So we're going to cut all of our cardstock first, and then we'll cut our vinyls. Okay, so while that is cutting, we're going to glue this. My glue. Okay, we're going to grab another glue. It's the same glue, it's a different tube. Okay. So I have put a lot of glue here. I do not recommend this. What I recommend is putting a little bit of glue. So you don't want to warp your cardstock. You don't want to put so much glue that it sort of wets the cardstock. So don't do what I did. Okay, and we're just going to make sure that it lines up. There we are. And that lines up. And this is where a ruler comes in very handy. So you can get it through the box and just push it down. Okay, just make sure everything is where it needs to be. hold it down for a couple seconds. So what I did notice, with one side of this box, it goes in beautifully. And then with the other side of the box, like I fight to get it in. So that was something I noticed. So the side that goes in beautifully, that is going to be the top of my box. And the side that fights me, I'm going to snip it. So all I'm going to do is I'm cutting from the fold and I'm cutting inwards. I'm just going to give it a snip. Like so, and that's going to help me to put it in better, because we are not going to fight. Look at me trying to put glue on the wrong way. We're not going to fight with it. We're going to find a way to make it work for us. Okay, so I'm gluing that flap in, because that's going to be the bottom of my box, so obviously I don't want it to flap open when there's sweets and whatnot inside. Okay. So there's a perfect example. I just pulled this off of the mat and you can see how it's curled. Okay, next we're going to be doing our black cardstock, and then we can start assembling our bunny. Oh, we should move that. So here I can show you a better example. If you look there, it's sort of frayed, it's not 100% neat. And that's obviously because as cardstock cuts, I mean, it is sort of paper that's been, I don't know how to make paper, but it's paper that's sort of been, I don't know, smushed, combined. So the layers can separate as it cuts. It's completely normal. You haven't done anything wrong. It's just the way it is. Okay, so this is going to go here, and then that's going to go onto it. So we can glue this in the meantime. We'll put our boxy there. And again, probably too much glue on that, but it's fine. Okay, so I'm just sticking that in the center. It gives us that nice outline. Okay, now we're moving on to our vinyl. So what I'm going to do is, obviously for our shimmer vinyl, I'm going to be changing the setting to shimmer vinyl. So it's premium shimmer vinyl. Premium shimmer, premium vinyl shimmer, that's what it's called. Okay. And for this, I am going to use the brayer because the machine is going to use more force to cut it, so I don't want it to move around or come off of the mat. Okay, now we can line up our little bunny. And oh, we almost stuck him the wrong way. Okay, just make sure he's where we need him to be. That looks good. Okay. And then what I like to do for my other pieces of cardstock, so this is not too small, but I just find it a lot easier to hold it with tweezers and then apply my glue and stick it down that way. Personal preference. Oopsie. You can tell I don't often use this specific glue because I'm getting it everywhere. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just and we're gonna stick that down. So there we are. That's good. I think I could have probably used a lighter brown. Oopsie, that's my hair. I could have probably used a lighter brown, but it's completely fine. It's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to snip off the piece that I need because we do not waste. And then we're going to go on to do our final piece, which is our foil vinyl. Yes, our foil vinyl, that was correct. And again, this one's going to use quite a lot of cut pressure, so I'm just going to brayer that down. And for this, because I've used it already, I know that the textured metallic works. You can get rid of that. Okay, premium vinyl textured metallic, that's what I'm going to be using. One of the things that I love about the cardstock that is textured on one side and smooth on the other side is that once I've cut it, I never have to ask myself which way it goes because I know that I put it textured side down. So that is helpful. If you want to have the smooth side, then that's also completely fine, but you'll be able to see textured versus smooth and you'll know whether or not you have it on the right side. So I'm just putting little dots. All I'm seeing is Zelda saying, except if it's hot glue. I just feel like I should not be allowed to use hot glue. So what I'm doing now is I'm just using my tweezers to sort of scratch away any glue that's messed or splushed out. I don't really know what the word is. Smushed out. So you can see you don't need a lot of glue. You can see I've used like 6 or so spots there. Okay. Just make sure that's not sticking out. Oh, I love it. It's so cute. Okay. So we have all of our pieces cut now. And we're actually almost done. It's a super easy project. So we're almost done here. We're going to get our weeding tool, and this is a little trick that I learned from Soraya, to take out the insides first before you do the outside, and that's just going to help you not sort of push your design around. Doesn't help being half blind and working at night. I'm kind of just stabbing at anything here. There we are. So what you can do is you can also use your tweezers. That's also very helpful. There we are. Lost that. Okay. And when you are weeding your vinyl, just obviously move slow. Make sure that you aren't pulling up any of your pieces. If you are, just nudge it down with your weeding tool. That looks good. I love this vinyl. Love, 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 love it. So beautiful. Do you love it? I wasn't sure about the brown. Yeah, the brown on the black is kind of throwing me off, but it's also because I haven't added in his little tail yet. So there's that. Okay, so these are his little feeties, and you can see a piece stuck there, so I'm just going to nudge it down with my weeding tool. Okay, another piece stuck. Just nudge it down. There we are. So with these, you can either apply them with your transfer tape, or you can just do it with your tweezers, which is what I'm going to do. The reason I'm going to do that is because there's a ridge here. So if I'm messing with transfer tape, it's going to be super difficult to try and get into these little ridges. Whereas doing this is just, it's easy. So when do I use transfer tape and when do I use my tweezers? That will be determined by how difficult it is to do either. So I always look for the easiest way to do it. This is, after all, you know, it's something we all love doing, so it should be as easy as possible. Not to say there will never be struggles, because I think there will always be struggles in anything that we take on. But for me personally, I enjoy trying to figure out how we can overcome those struggles. What can I do differently? How can I do it better? So, my little pep talk. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I appreciate I appreciate you being here to listen. And then we have little feetsies. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, now we're going to apply our little tail, and hopefully that's going to give us some definition. Oh, I'm getting all of the dry glue on it. I put a lot of glue there. Okay, obviously just make sure we have it right. We do. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do before we stick this onto our box is we're going to apply our vinyl onto our cardstock using transfer tape. So I'm going to be using a standard grip transfer tape, and I have tested this with a very good quality smooth cardstock, and it has ripped it. So for me personally, I find that a textured cardstock is very, very helpful. It helps to create that barrier between the transfer tape and the stickiness, I guess. So for me, I like to work on a textured cardstock. I'm sure there are people that have got it right on a smooth cardstock, but my advice would be, especially for a beginner, do a textured cardstock. The other thing that's really cool is that removable vinyl is perfect for this, so it's gonna hold on the same. So I have quite a stash of removable vinyl that I specifically use for cardstock projects, and it comes out great. Okay, so we're just going to scrape that down. Oopsie. Okay, and we're going to roll this back on itself so that it's not pulling against the vinyl, it's not putting any unnecessary pressure on it, and you can see that it's coming up. If there's a piece that doesn't come up, you just roll over it again. So you press down and roll, and that looks great. Okay, so now we're going to line this up, which is probably the hardest part of the whole process, is just to line it up. I think I got it. Okay, you can see I just press very gently. Just, okay, not that gently. So where I am rubbing down, I'm only rubbing down where the vinyl is touching the cardstock. So I'm trying not to press too much where the cardstock meets the transfer tape, if that makes sense. There we are, beautiful. Okay, now we just make sure we have, okay, so we're doing it this way. Now we're just going to sort of line it up. Okay, so what you can do if you want to add some dimension, let me just grab it. Oh my goodness, sorry. While I was grabbing the dimension, I almost killed everything in the room. So we're just going to stick a piece of double-sided tape on the back. Yes, that's a very helpful tip, Judy. So Judy said she finds that if she uses a piece of transfer tape that has been used a few times, it helps not to tear cardstock. So that is actually a very helpful tip. So another thing you can do, if you don't have an old piece of transfer tape, you can actually stick the transfer tape against your shirt a couple times. Just stick it, lift it, and that'll help it not to be so sticky. So that is totally something that you could do. Okay, so there we are. You can see we've added a little bit of dimension with our double-sided tape, and then we're just going to stick our name. Okay, I've just thrown. Okay, we're going to do that with our fingers. Okay, again, just little dots of glue. We don't want too much. Sorry about the crash. I am okay. I just knocked over my whole container of tools. So that's fun. Okay, so we just get that on, and then I just want to kind of move it so that it's not on the bunny. How cute is that? So there it is in all of its glory. Love that. I was so calm because I knew that it was not detrimental. I'm so sorry for the scare. Okay, so that is tonight's class. So obviously you can finish that off with your little piece of ribbon, but that is super cute and oops, that way, super easy to do. So the rest of my boxes are also on the floor with all of my tools. So you can see, there they are, very, very cute. And you can do those for any occasion. So I am very excited to see what everybody comes up with. Actually, I've loved all of the projects that people have come up with after classes. So I'm very excited to see that, and I hope you flood the group with little boxes this week. And I hope to see a lot of you at the launch of the Maker 4. And I will see you again next week. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that if you're a beginner, this helped you to be a little bit more confident in working with vinyl cardstock. It's really a lot easier than you would think. So I hope that these classes are helpful. Thank you all for joining, and I can't wait to do this with you again soon.